Enkidu has fallen deathly ill. Gilgamesh weeps beside his deathbed as Enkidu laments the choices that have led him to this end. He curses the gate they built from the tallest trees of the cedar forest. He curses the hunter who came upon him in the grasslands. He curses the sacred prostitute who brought him to the city. But Gilgamesh and the sun god Shamash, who opposed the decision that Enkidu must die, they console him, and he relents and blesses these people instead. In a night ridden with sickness and fear, the dying Enkidu dreams of a fearsome individual with a lion's head and an eagle's talons, fighting him, overpowering him, transforming him into a bird-like creature, and dragging him down to the house of darkness, where he witnesses the dwellings of those who do not return, the dead kings and priests of kingdoms past, and on her throne Ereshkigal, queen of the underworld, Ishtar's older sister, who sees him and declares, "Who is it who has fetched this man here? Who has brought here this fellow?" When he wakes, he tells Gilgamesh of this dream. They reminisce on their shared adventures, on the terrors in whose face they prevailed together. Day by day, night by night, his sickness worsens, and on the 12th day, Enkidu dies. For 6 days and 7 nights more, Gilgamesh weeps and clings to Enkidu's side. He cannot believe his beloved friend is no more. He cannot accept it. He cannot accept it. But at last, after 7 nights, he watches a maggot come crawling out of Enkidu's nostril, and at last is forced to concede that it is so. And he wails, "How I weep for Enkidu, my companion, my friend," he wails. Gilgamesh mourns a long and plaintive obituary for the man from the wilderness, and the wilds, the trees, the crowds, they all mourn too within him. He is inconsolable. He lovingly adorns Enkidu's body for a great funeral, where his beloved friend's remains shall be committed to the riverbed. He calls together the smiths and metallurgists and jewelers of Uruk to build a great statue in Enkidu's honor. And at the first light of dawn, he makes offerings, copious offerings, to Ishtar, to Shamash, and most of all, to Ereshkigal, queen of the underworld, and to all her staff, that his beloved friend might walk safe at their side. And then he wanders. Gilgamesh wanders the wilds. As he walks, he weeps for Enkidu, and while he grieves, his grief gives rise to fear. For he says, "Enkidu has died. Must I too die? Must Gilgamesh be like that too?" Sorrow wells in his belly. He fears. He fears his own death. Is there no means to avoid it? He has heard of only one who has done so. The immortal ancestor, Utanapishti, he who preserved life. And so Gilgamesh resolves, "I will seek out this Utanapishti, no matter the dangers of the journey." At night he wanders into a mountain pass full of lions. He prays to the moon god Shin, and he fights them off, and he clads himself in their pelts. "Oh, Gilgamesh, where are you wandering?" the sun god Shamash asks of him. "That which you seek is not yours to find." And yet on he wanders, from delirium to determination, from the wilds of his homeland to the very ends of the earth, where stand two mountains, their peaks as tall as the heavens, and between them a tunnel into the bowels of the earth. A pair of scorpion people guard this tunnel's gate, a scorpion woman and a scorpion man. And they tell Gilgamesh, "You must be a god of some kind to have come this far. Who are you, and why are you here?" And Gilgamesh replies, "I come because I seek Utanapishti, the Eternal, to ask of him the question that concerns life and death." And a pair of scorpion people warn him, "No mortal has ever journeyed through this tunnel, for this is the path of the sun, where it goes at the setting and journeys by night through 12 leagues of utter dark to its eventual rise beyond the mountains. No mortal could possibly go this way." Gilgamesh seizes up in terror, but struggling through it, he insists, "Oh, then that is the way I must go. Open the gate." The scorpion pair confer. Then they say to him, "The entrance is open. Go, and may you make the journey in safety." And so Gilgamesh plunges into the tunnel. There he is alone, companionless, in utter darkness, only darkness behind and before him, crushing, blinding, suffocating darkness. League by league he struggles and fumbles his way forward, gasps for breath, panting, weeping, fighting the paralysis of his fear. Till after 11 leagues, a grayness takes shape, and then the air turns fresh. And at last, Gilgamesh breaks out into the morning sunlight. He has come to a marvelous garden, its fruits and leaves as colorful as all the jewels in the world, and beyond it, he can see the sea. Along the shore of this sea, there stands a tavern. It is run by a wise old goddess and brewer, Shiduri. She sees him coming. "Who is this?" Shiduri says to herself, "who looks to have travelled so far to my tavern, in the skin of a beast and with a face etched with sorrow?" She's apprehensive. This man looks up to no good. He must be a thief or a troublemaker. And so she shuts the door and locks its bolts. Gilgamesh hears this and calls to her, "Tavern keeper, why do you shut your door as soon as you see me? Let me in, or I shall smash the door down. For I am Gilgamesh, who took down Huwawa in the cedar forest and killed the bull of heaven." And from the roof, Shiduri calls back, "Then why do you look like one who has undergone a terrible journey? Why is your visage wasted, your heart sunk with sorrow, your skin burnt by frost and by sunshine? Why, great king, do you wear animal pelts and roam the wilds in grief?" And Gilgamesh answers, "Because I grieve for Enkidu, the companion I loved, who is now no more than clay. Must I become like that too? Tell me, tavern keeper, where is the road to Utanapishti?" To which Shiduri replies, "O Gilgamesh, what mortal can live forever? Only Shamash, the sun god, crosses this ocean. No human can cross the waters of death. And even if you did, what then would you do? Come, wash off the filth of the journey, put on clean robes, and then eat and drink your fill and dance instead." And yet she sees that Gilgamesh will not be dissuaded. And so the tavern keeper relents and tells him, "If such is your desperation, then seek out the boatman Urshanabi. Show him your face. Perhaps he will take you across. If not, you must turn back and abandon the crossing." And so does Gilgamesh set out on the treacherous waters for Urshanabi's island, where he sees the great stone charms which power the ferry, unharmed by the waters of death. And perhaps he takes them for an enemy, or is merely overcome by his stress. For Gilgamesh falls upon the stone charms with his axe, and he breaks them to bits and hurls them into the water. The ferryman, Ushanabi, comes rushing out on hearing this commotion, and Gilgamesh demands of him, "How do I cross the ocean to Uttanapishti?" And the boatman replies, "Look, your own hands have prevented your crossing. You have broken the stone charms which powered the boat. If you wish to cross now, you must take your axe back into the forest, cut 60 poles, then 60 more, trim them, seal them against the water, then bring them back to me." So must Gilgamesh craft his own punting poles. And when he returns to them with them, he and Urshanabi set out for the waters of death. "Let not your hand touch the water," the ferryman warns him. And indeed, as they pole the boat through, the water devours the first pole, and then the second, and then the third, till all the poles have been used up. So now Gilgamesh strips off his lion skin and holds it up like a sail for the rest of the journey. On the faraway shore, an old man watches the boat approach. "Why are the stone charms broken?" he says. "Who is that one on board with Ushanabi?" They disembark. The old man greets Gilgamesh, who tells him of his story and of his purpose. He seeks the immortal Uttanapishti to ask how he was admitted to the company of the gods. But the old man asks in answer, "Why? Why do you chase sorrow? How long stands a building before it falls? How long does a contract last? Ever do we build our households, make our nests, divide our inheritances? Time after time, the river rises and floods. The insect leaves the cocoon to live but a minute. How long does the mayfly float upon the water? How long can the eye look at the sun? From the beginning, things do not last. See how the dead and the sleeping resemble each other? The ruler and the peasant, the old and the young? For in their assembly, the gods established that there is life and there is death, and the day of death they do not disclose." Gilgamesh hears the old man out, and then he says to him, "You know, when I set out to seek the distant and immortal Uttanapishti, I thought he might be some strange creature or demon. But now that I see your form is just like mine. Tell me then, Uttanapishti, how were you admitted to the company of the gods? How did you find life eternal?" Uttanapishti considers this and then tells him, "All right, I shall tell you the story. I shall tell you a secret of the gods. You know of the ancient city, Shurupak, on the Euphrates. The gods in council decided to bring the deluge down on this city, the great flood, to wipe out all humankind. But Ea, the cleverest of the gods, whispered to me, 'Uttanapishti of Shurupak, demolish your house, abandon your riches, and build a boat instead. Cover her with a roof, let all her dimensions be equal, and take on board an instance of each living thing, that they may be made safe from the flood.' So I labored to build this boat, and as darkness came, I loaded my kin and all the supplies I could, and all living things to be saved from oblivion. For 6 days and nights calamity rained down, the storms raged, and the sea rose to engulf and overwhelm. The gods themselves trembled and wailed at the ferocity of their flood. And when it ended, I found my boat had run aground on Mount Nishir, and all life below had returned to clay." When the god Enlil spotted my boat, he was seized with anger and shouted in a rage, "From where did that being escape? No human was to survive the destruction. What are we to do about him now?" Ea, I know it was you. You alone are clever enough to cause this. To which Ea raged right back. "You, Enlil, hero and sage of the gods, how could you be so ill-counseled as to bring on this deluge? You could have raised but a lion, a wolf, a famine, a plague, because you should inflict punishment on the one who transgresses, not on the heads of all. So for what do you blame me? That man, Utanapishti, he listened to the wind and guessed at our secret decision. Instead of being furious at him, you should go and reward him for his wisdom." So that's why the chastened Enlil did come on board. He took my hand and my wife's, and he declared in reconciliation, "You were but mortal, yet now you shall be as us gods, to dwell in immortality, far away, at the source from which all rivers flow." That, the old man tells Gilgamesh, is the answer to your question. But now, Utanapishti continues, who shall bring the gods together in council to grant you the life you seek? Let there be a test. Let us see if you can keep yourself awake for 1 week. And so the eager Gilgamesh immediately sits down to test himself. But his journey has exhausted him, of course, and at once a fog of sleep drifts down upon him. Expecting him to be devious, Utanapishti asks his wife to bake a loaf of bread for him each morning and line the loaves up by his head day after day. On the 7th day, Utanapishti pokes Gilgamesh and he wakes up. And he complains, "What, no sooner was I falling asleep than you used to touch me and kept me awake." But Utanapishti shows him the 7 loaves of bread in their 7 gradations of mold and decay. "Look," he says, "you have slept all 7 days. If you cannot overcome sleep, the mere image of death, then how will you possibly overcome death itself?" And now Gilgamesh panics. "Oh, Utanapishti," he says, "where shall I go? What shall I do? Wherever I turn, there too I see death awaiting me." And Utanapishti says to him, "Go home, Gilgamesh. Cast off your pelts, wash yourself off, and return to your city in fresh royal robes befitting your dignity. Go with him, Urshanabi. See that he makes it safe and spotless to his native city." But then, as Gilgamesh washes disconsolate, Utanapishti's wife says to Utanapishti, "This man has undergone such terrible hardships to get here. Oh, we must give him something for his homeward journey, surely." And thus, Utanapishti imparts on the king one final secret. "There is a plant that grows beneath the water," he discloses. "It is covered in thorns. It will prick your hand, but if you can seize it, it shall make you as you were when you were young." And so, at once, Gilgamesh binds heavy stones to his feet. He lets them drag him to the depths of the ocean abyss, and there he finds this plant. And he pulls it out, although the thorns cut into his hands. And then he cuts loose the stones and lets the current wash him ashore, where he declares to Ushanabi the boatman, "I have found it! Oh, at last I have what I came for! I shall take this plant back, and I shall eat it, and then I shall be as I was in my youth, and I shall share its secrets among the elders of my city! Yes!" And so he sets off home. He sets off home with Ushanabi accompanying him for the journey. They stop to eat and then to rest for the night. And Gilgamesh finds a spring of purest water, and he enters it to bathe and refresh himself. But while he is submerged, a little snake slithers in from the reeds. It is attracted by the fragrance of the plant, and so it comes up in silence, steals it, and slips away with it into the undergrowth, shedding its skin as it goes. When Gilgamesh he comes back up and finds this skin, he realizes what has happened, and he breaks down in tears at the edge of the pool. Oh, why? He moans to Ashanabi the boatman. Oh, I toiled so hard. I came all this way. And now the entire journey has been for nothing. Nothing. Oh, oh. Perhaps it is a sign. Perhaps it is time to abandon that I have sought for. And so they travel on, stopping to eat and to rest for the night. And in this way, at last, they come to Uruk, whose majestic walls Gilgamesh now looks on for the first time since he set out on his journey. Oh, and what does he say to the boatman? Oh, look upon Uruk. Walk back and forth upon its wall. Examine its brickwork. Survey its foundations. See its date groves, its clay pits, its temples, its fields, its ponds and orchards. Is this the essence of what lasts? One day, the great wild bull lies down, never to rise again. Yet what of his brickwork, his foundations? What of the tablets of stone, with the wisdom he learnt, brought back for his people, and of the customs they formed to preserve it? In the memories of those who follow, and in the reunions that await you beyond, your names, once uttered, do not sink into oblivion. For mortal humankind, be not sick at heart, be not in despair, be not heart-stricken. Do not go down to the great city with heart knotted in anger. For another there will never be, whose destiny is the same as yours, and how your name is pronounced will never be forgotten.